From WVLT, this is Local 8 News.
Even more people are now seeking medical treatment for exposure to hazardous materials from a train derailment in Blount County.
You're going to hear from evacuees who had to pack up in the middle of the night, forced to leave their homes.
5,000 people forced from their homes will not be going back tonight. It's just not clear whether the air or the water is safe enough yet. Good evening, I'm Amanda Hara.
And I'm Ted Hall. Glad you're joining us here for Local 8 News. A derailed train car carrying a toxic chemical is still burning in Blount County, but the smoke is no longer visible on the horizon. Our crews on the scene or near the scene tell us firefighters have made progress knocking the flames down. But take a look at what they looked like late this morning and into this afternoon. An exclusive look from our Eye in the Sky, Pete Michaels. The CSX train derailed just before midnight. It was on its way from Ohio to Georgia, derailing in Maryville. Several of the cars carrying acrylonitrile, a hazardous chemical used to make plastic. One of those cars ignited.
Of course, we've had crews on scene all morning, all day. We're going to start with Local 8 News reporter Casey Wheelis. Casey, you've actually learned what exactly this train was carrying and who's now under evacuation orders.
Yeah, guys, what we have learned today that we have about 24,000 gallons of that toxic material is now burning from that one car that has now derailed. Now, out of all of the cars on there are a few empty ones, but most of them are carrying some sort of hazardous material, whether it's the acrylonitrile that is burning right now or propane. Now, we have talked to officials right now. They are monitoring the air in that 1.5 radius that has been evacuated, working now to determine if the well water is also safe. They're urging anyone not to come into contact with that well water. We are continuing to bring you updates here as we are briefed by officials here at Heritage High School. Reporting live, Casey Wheelis, VLT Local 8 News.
Casey, thank you very much. Casey's at a shelter there at the school. We're going to get into more on why she is there. A lot of road closures around Blount County because of this train derailment. Officials trying to keep people as far away from this hazardous chemical as they can. Yeah,
most of those closures inside of a 2-mile radius of that crash site. But the main area is a 3-mile stretch along Highway 321 from Clydesdale Street to William Blount Drive. That's between the Harley-Davidson dealership to Blount Christian Church. More people now starting to gather at Heritage High School, where we just touched base with Casey Wheelis. That's where the Red Cross has set up shelters for evacuees.
Local 8 News reporter Brittany Nada is also there. She talked with evacuees about what it was like in the middle of the night to have to rush out of their homes. Brittany?
Yes. Amanda, Ted, that's what they're telling us, that more people are starting to show up now because it's about dinner time. And they're also saying this morning people were evacuated. Maybe they went to work. And when they got back to their house, of course, we're learning that they couldn't get in. And you can see right over my shoulder, the CSX officials are filling out paperwork with people who have been evacuated. Maybe they need to stay in a hotel and they're filling out reimbursement forms. So the only problem is people are going to hotels. People can come here to Heritage High School if they need a place to stay tonight, but they can't bring their pets with them. So if you have an animal with you and you can't bring it to the high school, and you can't bring it to a hotel, Blount County Animal Center will be open around the clock. But if your pet is still inside of your home, officials say do not go back to get it. Even though people left in a hurry this morning, it's not safe to go back. Now, I spoke to a couple just a few minutes ago. They say they left their house with a few critical items just because they didn't know how long they'd be gone.
You need to be prepared. We left our house this morning, a pair of flip-flops and a pair of shorts. Had to go back because you don't realize what you've left. You just jump up and take off.
Now, in this case, if you have to leave your house, if you've been evacuated and you need to go out to the store to buy things like toothbrushes, maybe you need to buy some clothes to hold you over, CSX says just hold on to your receipts. Even if you couldn't make it over to Heritage High School today to fill out these reimbursement forms, just come by tomorrow. They say they'll be here around the clock, so you can come by anytime. Reporting live in Knoxville, Brittany Nada, VLT Local 8 News.
Earlier, Brittany reporting that a lot of people left in such a rush that they didn't bring enough medication to last over the night. So that's another issue that folks are dealing with there as well. But getting assistance while they're at that Red Cross shelter. A lot of people now wondering what acrylonitrile actually is. We've got a lot of information to help you get a better picture.
It is a liquid. It is also called AN, or vinyl cyanide, because cyanide is a part of this. It is used in making high-impact plastics, Legos, for instance, toys, luggage, construction material. When it burns, it is a toxic fume. If you're exposed to it, cyanide will build up in your body. Possible effects from short-term exposure can be headaches, dizziness, irritability, rapid heartbeat, nausea, and in the worst cases, even death. As we said, 52 people went to the hospital seeking treatment. 25 of them admitted into the hospital and will likely be there overnight.
You know, the good news is the hospital officials telling us that none of those injuries are life-threatening, so that's the good news.
Another danger is the water. 40% of the people in that area, within that 1.5 to 2 mile radius around the crash site, rely on well water.
And that's exactly what officials are now warning folks inside of that evacuation area to stay away from. Don't drink it. Don't even touch it. That means showers and hand washing out of the question. The EPA testing water as we speak, testing the quality to see if it's contaminated, but they don't want to take any chances.
It's not to say that the water's contaminated. We're just, out of the abundance of caution, we're recommending that folks do not drink it and do not come in contact with until we get more data.
The EPA now also monitoring air quality in the area. Folks really can't go home until they've figured out if everything is safe enough. David, though, as fumes continue to pour from the scene of this train derailment, is there any kind of wind to speak of that could blow airborne chemicals into different directions?
One of the good things is it's close to the Big E Tyson Airport, so you have a pretty good handle as to how strong those winds are. Take a look right now. We've got a 12-mile-an-hour wind. It's been like that for the last 2 hours now, 78 degrees, but the winds are blowing out of the west-southwest. So this is the circle, the 1.5-mile evacuation radius around Clydesdale Street that we're watching very closely. We also talk about that black fire, that black, intense, ultra-dense smoke. It can run about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Plenty of rain moving through the area, and we've had already close to an inch of rain, but more is on the way. I'll be coming back in a few moments to talk about the flooding concerns going right through the 4th of July. Ted and Amanda?
Thanks. We don't know yet if the fire is out in those train cars. We do know that people who are nearby say they can no longer see those black toxic fumes floating above the trees, but it's still something everyone needs to be conscientious of.
We've got new numbers coming into our newsroom now. 52 people now been treated for exposure to those toxic chemicals. About 25 of them will actually spend the night in the hospital for closer monitoring.
Yeah, it's an issue Blunt Memorial's been dealing with all day. Local 8 News reporter Kyle Granger spoke with the chief medical officer there on how they're handling it. What you got, Kyle?
Staff's here in Blount County with patient after patient coming into the ER complaining about respiratory problems. And out here at the scene tonight, we've seen lots of heavy equipment turning, and you can see some of it stopped there now on Lamar Alexander Parkway here as it heads down to the scene. That big plume of smoke that we saw coming out for much of the day has since dissipated. That smoke was what was causing the problems, causing those respiratory problems for people earlier today. Rural Metro has been helping out at the hospital with extra EMS workers and ambulance staff, also bringing in a bus to help in the triage area. Now, anyone coming out here to this location has to be decontaminated before going to the hospital. That is part of the process that has been going on all day today, and it's what they have been practicing for several years now. In fact, they had a drill recently practicing a hazmat situation, and the staff handled this relatively well.
And they're very devoted, and everyone that we needed to do to help out and to do extra things has done that in a willing way, and we've had no difficulty rendering the services. And I'll be frank, I'm very proud of the way our hospital responded.
Now, if you experience any shortness of breath, coughing, wheezing, the medical staff says you should go to the ER, at least get it checked out. Even if it's not a major problem, it's better to be safe than sorry. So far right now, the last numbers that we have call for about 50 people that are in the hospital. Around 20 or so will be spending the night. Reporting live in Blount County, Kyle Granger, VLT, Local 8 News.
All right, we've got some bad news to pass along just coming into our newsroom. If you are an evacuee and you had to leave a pet behind, animal control officers say they will not be able to go into that evacuation zone to get your animal. Your animal will have to stay where you left it until those evacuation restrictions are finally lifted.
The homeowners, the pet owners won't be able to go
Not
in and
allowed.
get them either.
Nope.
Yeah. When will this end? When will people be allowed back home? That's one of the big questions we have. It's up to air quality, water quality. EPA is going to decide this. But what was it like overnight? People pounding on your door saying, hey, there's a problem, you've got to leave. We're going to show you some of that when we come back here on Local 8 News. Glad you're with us.
From Volunteer TV, this is Local 8 News.
Many of you are on Twitter, you're on Facebook, begging Mother Nature to make the snow stop. But she is not listening, not tonight anyways. Part of East Tennessee on track to see 10 inches of snow.
Yeah, I've heard that doesn't help. All this snow's piling up. It's making for a dangerous drive. Wrecks, abandoned cars scattered. We're going to go live to the streets with our Pete Michaels and see what it's like.
Local 8 News at 11 starts now.
We've seen the pictures, we've heard the warnings, we've seen the video. Now here we are standing in the evidence that Tennessee is on track to see a lot of snow.
Good evening, Ted Hall and Amanda Hara. We are outside just to see exactly what the snow conditions are like. It's been snowing hard at times, lightning off it a little bit at times, but for the most part, it's been a pretty steady snow, and that's causing some problems. David, how much snow are we going to get now, do you think?
Well, I think we've got another 90 minutes of the intensity. By the time we hit midnight and beyond, it'll slow down quite a bit, but let's take a look at the radar. You can see for yourself there is an endpoint to what we'll see later tonight. Heavier blues here in Knoxville, around Farragut, Lenore City, and Sevierville. Moderate snow at this hour, but as we expand the view, you'll see that we've actually had now 7 inches in Etowah, 5 inches in Coker Creek, about 2.5 in Pigeon Forge, 4 inches in Sevierville. So quite a bit of snow at this particular time. The biggest story was around 7:20 this evening. We got an upgrade from the Weather Service that we were now under the winter storm warning, which was the expectation that we could see 3 to 6 inches here and possibly 1 to 4 up to the far north and into southeast Kentucky. But as we mentioned during the 4, 5, and 6 o'clock broadcast, we would likely see again additional snows that could locally heavy snows of 5 inches, possibly 6, maybe even 7, and that's what we're expecting to see as we head through the night. So a 5 to 7 isolated amounts in the valley. Not out of the question. When I come back, we'll talk about more pictures that you've taken. But again, take it easy on the roads. If you don't have to be on them, it's probably best you avoid them.
Boy, that's good advice. David, thank you very much. We're getting reports from local law enforcement, many factions of local law enforcement saying stay off the roads. Put travel off until tomorrow or later if you can, because the roads really are dangerous. People abandoning cars, multiple wrecks out there. It's really something to watch for as this snow moves in from the south.
Right. We've actually had people tweet us photos of wrecks happening in Maryville. Blount County kind of got the worst of it. Kyle Granger knows this best. He's been in Blount County for most of the night. We're going to touch base with him. He's live there now to kind of give us the latest on the conditions there. Kyle, what are you seeing out there?
Guys, it's still falling at a pretty good rate here in Maryville. At times it's kind of coming down a little bit harder, and other times it's a little bit lighter, not too bad. But I'd say anywhere in the probably 2 to 3 inch range of snow that's accumulated, definitely on the sidewalks and on the grassy areas. But check out the roads behind me. We're standing on Broadway looking downtown, looking into downtown Maryville, and you can tell the roads have been passed by several times. A lot of plow trucks have been driving by in the past 10 minutes. Those roads very passable, but very slippery as well, and that's really been the story all evening here in Blount County. We've seen several cars that have been spinning their wheels, and a couple of them even stuck on the side of the road, but really the road's doing pretty well right now. As I said just a second ago, the plows, they've been very busy, and probably just the past 15-20 minutes that we've been standing here, we've seen them pass by at least a half a dozen times here in the downtown area. And really, that's got to be helping keep this down, keep this buildup from getting out of control. And even though you are able to drive and pass through these roads here in Blount County, they are very slick. There are a lot of slippery spots still. So if you have to be out, yes, you can make it through here. But if you do not have to be out tonight driving, definitely advise that you stay inside if it is at all possible. And let these plow trucks get through here, get plenty of salt down, and plenty of chances to get a bunch of passes through to clear off this mess off of these roads, so that way you can get back to normal life tomorrow, hopefully. Reporting live in Blount County, Kyle Warnke, VLT, Local 8 News.
Yeah, don't worry. You shouldn't be driving. But Kyle, he's used to the cold weather driving up north, so he can do it in the snow pretty well.
We did have some questions about that. We tell you not to get out there and drive, and yet we do, but we realize that. We accept the responsibility. It's part of our jobs, and we realize the risks, and we're trying to be very careful out there. We want to find out exactly how bad the roads are. Our Pete Michaels has been gracious enough to work tonight for us. It sounds like it's pretty bad in spots, Pete.
You know, it appears to me this could be one of the worst situations we've had in a long, long time. Snow is stacked up. You're right. Long list of wrecks. Visibility is down. We're able to get around because, frankly, we've got some of the best equipment you could possibly have to get through just about anything. But I could also tell you, being from Syracuse, where they have 116 inches a year, I got some pretty good training. Now, right now, we followed a number of salt trucks around. You can see how bad the visibility is. You've heard it all before. Don't go. Even if you have an emergency, make sure you've got the proper equipment. But tomorrow morning, what's going to happen, a lot of folks are going to be tempted to get out and around. I think they're going to be shocked. David will tell you as to how much snow we're going to get. We already see some of that now. We'll be here first thing in the morning, get you up to date on what's going on. But at the moment, it appears to me to be about as bad as we've seen in a long, long time And again, it looks like it's going to be worse before it gets better. We'll check back first thing in the morning. I'm Pete Michaels, Pilot's Pilot. Good evening, guys.
Good, Pete. Thank you very much. Appreciate your expertise tonight.
All right, meteorologist John Carroll gave me the Vanna White duties. So here we go with the yardstick. What do we got there, John?
It does appear that we're almost at 3 inches, about 2 3/4 inches. We cleared this off early this morning or early this evening before the snow started. So this is the true representation of how much snow we have gotten. Almost 3 inches here on the back deck since about 8 o'clock.
This is a much different texture of snow than we've been seeing over the last week and a half. Talk a little bit about this.
Right. Over the past week and a half, we've had different personalities of each storm that's come on through. The first storm that came through last Monday had that freezing rain with a little bit of snow on top of that. That was the icy glaze. That was a dangerous scenario. And then we had a little couple days with some flurries, but then that bitter cold came in and refroze everything. We got that bitter icy scenario for a while. And then we had the ice storm that came in on Saturday. And that had a whole different feel to it because we had that icy scenario, especially up in the Cumberland County areas and Fentress County. And then we had a lot of rain and some localized flooding after that. Earlier this week, we had 3 inches of snow, but that was that light, fluffy snow. So it was kind of, you could just almost sweep that off your driveway. And this snow, as you see, is snowball snow.
This is really good.
Yeah, this is texture. And the problem with this type of snow is that it is going to lay heavy on the power lines and the tree branches. So this could be problematic as well, just due to the extra weight. It's not the fluffy stuff, it's the heavy stuff that could compromise some branches.
John's got a long night ahead of him.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, you've got a cot in here somewhere or a mattress in here somewhere, and
we're here for the duration.
You're going to be here for the morning show as well. We're
it.
going to have several inches of snow by that time.
Definitely.
John, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight.
You know, the other big problem with this type of snow is it packs really well and makes really, really bad driving conditions. Yeah. We've already seen a lot of issues, specifically through Knoxville police. They're tweeting about different car wrecks all over the city. Hillary Magosh is in North Knoxville. She's kind of been tracking the situation for us. Hillary, what have you been seeing out there?
Well, it is a winter wonderland out here right now. As you can see, the snow continues to fall, and I'm on Broadway in Fountain City, and the snow's really been falling for at least a couple hours now. And traffic behind me, well, when there is traffic, it seems to be moving slowly but steadily. Again, people taking it a little slower than normal. And as far as snow on the roads, it really seems like it's turned into a slushy mixture, at least on Broadway. But we hit plenty of snowy and slick spots on our way out here. So again, roads are getting a little bit dangerous in spots, and crews have been working all day long in advance of this storm to treat the roads, and of course they're going to work throughout the night as well. And they're just urging anyone who has somewhere they need to be to just take it really slow. Make sure you're driving slowly, allowing plenty of time between you and other cars. But of course their best advice is just to stay home and enjoy the snow if at all possible. It is a heavy, wet snow, and really it is perfect snow for making snowballs like this, perfect packing snow, perfect for building snowmen. So again, they say if at all possible, just stay home and enjoy the winter weather. For now, live in Fountain City, Hillary Magosh, VLT Local 8 News.
All right, Hillary, thank you very much. Earlier tonight, if you were watching us on Local 8 News, you saw a story of a family in trouble. This family relies on school lunches. With school being out, there are so many kids who don't get the most nutritious meal or two of the day that they get at school, and wouldn't you know, East Tennesseans helped out.
I mean, really is the best part about living here. People will always come to your aid. They will always help you. Kelsey Lair learned about a man who is doing just that, changed a family's life forever.
Like many others, Marty Tilley and his daughter Lindsay stocked up before the big storm.
Packing 30 hot dogs and hot dog buns and chili and cheese.
But here's where they set themselves apart. This food isn't for them.
Times like these, everybody needs to pitch in and help out a little bit.
And so when Marty was watching Local 8 News at 6 and heard about a family in need of food,
We're barely left on 75.
He didn't waste any time.
When you have tough times, we get so wrapped up in our own little worlds and our own little problems and issues that we just don't think of other people.
And so he drives, even as snow covers the road in front of him.
That doesn't bother me.
Up until he reaches his destination.
We'll take this for now. Hi. Am I at the right place?
Yeah. And so when most words are hard to come by.
Hi. How you all?
There's only two that really matter.
Thank you.
There's stuff for the fridge, stuff for the freezer.
And just makes your heart leap. I mean, it's
It's wonderful. And just like that, their job is done.
See you later. Bye-bye.
So while they return home with less groceries, they're going back with something much more.
Very gratifying to see the look of appreciation and the thank you, and to see the little boy all excited over some apples. That's what makes it all worthwhile.
Let me tell you how happy we are to be able to bring you stories like this. East Tennesseans coming through to help others. That's what this place is all about.
So important to pass along those really positive messages too. We want to point out that Marty didn't ask us to go along. This wasn't something where he was asking for the publicity. We learned about the story and kind of begged him to let us go along. So thank you so much for giving us that opportunity.
Thank you for those of you who are sending us pictures and videos. This way we get an idea of what it's like in your neighborhood or your neck of the woods, even if our crews aren't out there. These are some of the videos that some of our viewers have sent in. We do appreciate it. Jimmy Gregory getting these huge flakes falling in Pigeon Forge on Wares Valley Road.
Yeah, crews out working overtime once again tonight. Chuck Morgan sent us this video of a snowplow hard at work out in the out on Louisville Road in Alcoa. A lot of folks sharing their videos, their pictures, and we love to get those so that we can share them with everyone else.
Bottom line. Bad driving snow. This stuff is bad for the roads. Don't get out there if you can help it. It's going to keep coming down for the next couple of hours. We've got 3 inches here. We're going to get a lot more. Give you a live look right now, downtown Gatlinburg, the snow piling up there. We're going to check back in with David in just a moment. We're going to see what the latest weather information is, but that's not all we've got.
As the snow falls, milk, bread flies off the shelf. But that is not the only hot ticket item. We're going to show you what else people are stocking up on to cure that cabin fever, Ted. Keep it right here on Local 8 News. We're back with more on this winter weather still ahead.